The story begins at a magical academy where a talent for magic is valued. Most of our protagonists will have no aptitude for magic and wonder if there's any way for the talentless like him to advance at a magic academy. He isn't sure but will frequently go to dungeons to slay monsters so that he can get stronger even if he can't use magic. One day at the academy, the distracted Will Gus called to the front of the class. He is told to conjure a flame using a catalyst but will tremble in fear because of his lack of magical talent. Of course he fails to conjure anything, and the entire class laughs at him. The instructor is really disappointed because this academy is very prestigious, and it's embarrassing how they can even use the most basic magic. This makes it clear to the instructor why Will is said to only be an honor student when it comes to note-taking. He says that Will is completely beyond help. Just then a student named Shaun conjures an amazing flame from his seat. Shaun gives an insincere apology. By saying that he was just helping Will, the instructor puts out the flame and declares that this was an example of how in this world the supremacy of magic is absolute, magic is strength, and mages are their heroes at the academy. A student's talent for magic is how they earn a higher rank. However, a no-talent student that can't even use a bit of magic has no right to be at an academy that gives rise to powerful sages. After classes mocks, Will goes into the dungeon again because he's just going there to take out small fry and scrape up some credits. Some girl named Colette intervenes, but Sunayon can't understand why an honor student like her would defend such a nobody. Colette declares that Will is the hardest worker she knows, and she refuses to let anyone insult her friend. Everyone is shocked to hear her speak this way, but she points out that it takes a lot more than hard work to become a magi. Vander will stand no chance at becoming one, and C is done wasting his time with a no-talent like Will. Cyan agrees with the instructor as he tells Will to drop out of the academy, but Colette tells Cyan to get lost already. Colette consoles Will by pointing out that there's something wrong with their professor, but Will can't blame him because he is right. He does some smooth talking and tells Colette that as long as he has a cutie like her by his side, he doesn't care about anything else. Colette gets really flustered and will apologize because he was tied at a young age to compliment girls. He says that her cuteness is completely objective though, and this just gets her even more flustered. Colette reminds herself that she is the heir to a noble, and she must remain composed just then. Colette becomes concerned because Will has gone completely silent, and he explains that he's just admiring how nice of a day it is. Colette then explains that the Magi of Vander, who are the most powerful wizards, continue to uphold the sky. Long ago, people were trapped in darkness and didn't even know about the existence of the sky. The world was being terrorized by something called the Celestial Host, but 5 wizards rose up against them. The wizards sent the invaders packing, and they cast a seal over the sky while bringing peace to the world. The title Magi of Vander is a title given only to the strongest, and it has been passed down for ages when Will was younger. Some girl named Ilaria told him stories about what lies on the other side of the sky. There is said to be a beautiful sunset that turns all kinds of things bright red. She thought that if they could become Magi of Vander, then they would be able to see the sunset. She wanted them to see it together, so they swore that they would realize now that this was just a childish promise, but Ilaria was the real deal. She was an incredible talent, and she became the youngest to ever earn the Magi Vander title. Because of this, she left to the top tower and the talentless Will were left behind. Will is unable to give up on the promise they made, so he works hard so he can stand beside her one day afterwards. Will is scolded by Professor Nur for going to the dungeon again. The worst part is that Will went to the 7th floor, and Nur fears that Will lose his life. One day Will apologizes and sheepishly asks about his credits, which just gets WNER more upset. WNER did eliminate an evil guard in the dungeon though, so WNER awards him with 2 credits. Will can't be any happier, and Nur is shocked that he hasn't given up on becoming a Magi of Vander. He wonders what is so wrong about that, so Nur explains the difficulties that lie ahead for him before heading to the tower. He will have to advance to the Upper Institute to do that. He will need to be proficient in the 3 curricula. The curricula are writing, spellwork and practice. He will need a ton of credits in all 3 of them, but he can't use magic, and he will never be able to earn spellwork credits. He knows this very well, which is why he focuses on collecting practice credits in the dungeon. Unfortunately, Nur must remind Will again that advancing through practice alone is impossible. Will gets pretty dejected, so the worker lifts his spirits by telling him to forget about becoming a Magia Vander. Instead, he needs to worry about actually graduating from the academy. He will fail to earn credits in the most recent exam, which means he needs to earn 4 credits by the end of the week. There are only 2 days left, so Will desperately searches his notes to find a monster worth 4 credits. Nur wants to help him, but he doesn't want to get in trouble, so he says that he's simply talking to himself, and he reveals some reports about a certain monster on the 6th floor of the dungeon. It's called the Baskerville, and it's exactly what he needs, so thanks. The helpful professor. Unfortunately, Shaun heard everything. He comes up with an evil plan, and he is sure that it will finally get rid of the no-talent scrub who is out of his league in this academy. A while later, we find Will on the 6th floor of the dungeon. Will has fought Baskerville before, so he's eager to earn his 4 credits. He tells his worried cat friend not to worry because he will avoid the monster's flame breath so they don't get burned to a crisp like last time nearby. Shaun and his cronies search for the monster they want to take care of before Will does, so that he will be expelled for being short on credits. Shaun's buddies are worried about being on the 6th floor, but Shaun reminds them that he is one of the elites at the school. Cyan has some serious issues as the very sight of seeing Will offends him. He doesn't even believe that a no-talent loser should even be able to speak about the Magia Vanders, and he thinks Will doesn't deserve to be at the academy. Just then things take a horrifying turn as a monster utterly eviscerates one of Cannon's men. This thing is terrifying as the kid's blood drips off its fists and Canyon's friend screams in horror. Will hears the scream and rushes forward as he fears that someone is being attacked. Will demonstrates incredible speed and arrives to see Shaun in battle. He is shocked to see that the monster is an evil sentinel because he has never seen one in person before. This beast is incredibly dangerous, and it's worth 10 credits. This terrifying monster usually resides in the lower levels of the dungeon, and you will wonder why it's there. The terrified Shaun begs for the monster to stay away as he attacks it, but his magic isn't having any effect. Cyan doesn't stand a chance and will realize that the sentinel is on a whole other level. Cyan desperately fires away, but the fearsome beast just keeps approaching, so he decides that he has to do something, but just then he shocks himself as he wonders if he actually has any obligation to save Shaun. Shaun has done nothing but make fun of him, and he has bullied Will to no end. His mind is flooded with memories of how poorly he treated him, and he begins to think that leaving him behind to lose his life would be justified. However, he will remember something Ilaria told him. She said that he was kinder and braver than anyone she has ever met, and we see that she was the one that gave Will his glasses back to the present. Will says that Ilaria was wrong. He isn't kind or brave, he just wants to do whatever it takes to stand beside her. Will puts on his battle glasses and dashes forward. He stops the monster's immense attack and declares that he will become a lone sword back at the school. Professor Edward urgently tells Wynne that Coney and his buddies went to the dungeon without permission. Who is in disbelief, and Edward tells him to use his familiar to find Cyan. The kids are in serious danger, so Walker prepares to do so and asks what floor they're on. Edward explains that they went to the 6th floor, and he is shocked when Nur declares that if they went to the 6th floor then there's no need to worry. Edward reminds him how dangerous the 6th floor is, but Nur explains that everything is fine because that is the floor that is back in the dungeon. Will demonstrates his immense fighting ability as he fends off the sentinel, and he manages to slice off one of its fingers. The infuriated beast tries to attack Will, but the kid is just too fast. Soars around the cave and easily deflects the debris that the monster throws at him, eventually making it onto the monster's back, and Cannon watches and is shocked as he can't believe that this is the same Will from school. The professors watch the fight from a crystal ball, and Edward can't believe what he is seeing from Will. Nur then reveals that Will is a true outlier. He has superhuman strength that a mage would never possess, and his body is tough as a dwarf's. That isn't all though, as he also has incredible observation skills that allow him to grasp an enemy's strategies after seeing them just once. Will demonstrates this by dodging an attack the monster just used, and he uses this open to slice its arm off. Nur concedes that Will cannot use magic, but in this world filled with magic users, Will is the one and only warrior. Will now takes the monster's giant sword, and as the beast becomes infuriated, he gets ready for an attack. He hasn't moved an inch this entire time. As he is stunned by Will's strength, the monstrous beast unleashes a powerful beam attack but will stop it with the sword. Nur continues to explain how powerful Will is by declaring that his slash of the sword surpasses even lightning. Will shows just that as he slices right through the monster's beam, causing massive damage everywhere, and the monster is utterly defeated. Will shows concern for Shaun, but Shaun is so angry that he makes himself bleed from the mouth. Edward is just as upset as he refuses to believe that someone who can't use magic is able to surpass magic. A while later, he will return to the academy to find the very upset worker. He did manage to eliminate the sentinel though, so he officially awards 10 credits. Thank you for joining Will on his quest to rewrite the rules of magic. Remember, true strength comes not from what you're given, but from what you earn. If you enjoyed this adventure, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more epic tales. Until next time, keep chasing your dreams.